Hi everyone, good morning. It's Margaret Manning here with 60 and Me. I hope that you're having a really adventurous day today. I hope you're planning on doing something that gets you out of the house and it just takes you somewhere that you've never been before. We did a survey a while ago asking people what they would love to do in retirement. What was the one big dream? And the one thing that most women, I think it was 80 some percent, said in our community is that they wanted to travel. So I got up this morning and I just felt like I wanted to do some checking of interesting places that I haven't been before. And I have a list now, a long list. But I decided first I needed a cup of tea. So I picked up this tea bag. And, the wonderful thing about living in another country and experiencing different foods and teas is that you buy things that are in the language of the country. So this is in German and it says it's a Sonnenschein tea. So Sonnenschein tea. I'm guessing it says something to do with sunshine tea, and it's got lemongrass and lemon myrtle and something that I can't understand. But it's really tasty. And actually linden is a very important tree in Switzerland. There's a beautiful place in Zurich called the Linden Park, and it's got these linden trees they must be, they're several hundred years old, and it's a sacred site really. There's been a Roman fort there, and there was a cathedral or a church and a castle. It's had all kinds of transformations. So again, great reason to travel and explore the history of a place. But anyway, I've got my linden tea this morning and my head is full of travel thoughts. So I'd like to talk about this because a lot of women too I know are saying, I would love to travel, but I just haven't got the money to do, international travel, and I maybe don't want to. I just, I'm sort of past that in my mind. I've done a lot of travel, want to stay still. But there are some really cool places in this world, and if you can think about budget travel in a very practical way, things you can do to get good deals and just visit the places that might, just make you feel good and teach you something new about the world and yourself. I've always found that I learn a lot about myself when I travel, so maybe that will be the case with you too. But anyway, we've got some ideas here in an article. I'll leave you the link so you can read it in some more detail. But you don't really need to think about travel as luxury anymore. There's so much more that you can do. And there are some groups that you can join. I'm sure in your own country there are organizations that offer discounts for senior travelers. Now in the States, AARP, of course, is for over 50s, and I think the annual rate is $16. So it's not too expensive, and you can then, when you travel, get considerable discounts off of hotels, and I'm not sure about flights, but certainly on the ground travel is there's opportunities for saving. And then I think in Canada there's a site called Zoomer. And I'm not sure whether that's exactly like AARP, but I know that that's a national group that offers bargains for people. And like I said, here, even in Switzerland, we've got special offers for over 65s when you travel to museums and theaters. So there's lots of things. If you just ask, you really just have to ask, are there any senior discounts? You'd be surprised. And it's just overcoming that asking, I think. So I think the secret there is to find the ones that are sponsored by the government or sponsored by your local city or community, and check out for bargains there. Another thing is to shop around for bargains in travel. There's some really good sites that you can try now, for example, with flights. Now, I used to use kayak.com, but there's another one now called skyscanner.com, which is another, it's not a budget line, it's a service that helps you to compare airline prices and shows you some grids, of which months the travel is cheapest. So that's a really a nice service to use. You can also set up alerts. So say, for example, you want to be traveling to, another place, to Lisbon, Portugal, and you really want to go, but your budget's like $400 for the flight, or $500. You can then ask a Skyscanner to let you know when cheap fares are available. And also, I know we don't have a lot of tweeters in our group. Maybe we have more than I think. But Twitter is a good place to sign up for airlines just to get alerts. And they definitely do have flash sales, even British Airways, Singapore Airlines, where you can take advantage of a week offer, really just for 10 days or 7 days. And also EasyJet and of course Ryanair and those kinds of budget lines in the UK and in the States. You've got JetBlue and others. Anyway, there's lots of ways you can look for budget travel options. And Priceline.com is another place you can look for cruises. There's one called Vacations to Go, which I just discovered, that is amazing prices on cruises and also on like repositioning cruises, where the cruise ship is moving from one place to the other without stopping too much. You can get half price prices there. So that's Vacations to Go. Anyway, there's lots of them. If you've got any favorites, let us know. We'd like to start collecting a list of all the good budget travel options. Another thing to do is be flexible on your dates. Now, one of the things that we have going for us as older women, maybe not in the workplace full time anymore, is that we can actually be a little flexible. So if you fly midweek, for example, or you can fly off season, or train, or any transport, not just necessarily flying, you can actually find it's much less expensive. You're always going to find things are expensive during school holidays, where kids are off school. So if you're in a neighborhood, if you're in a city, just check online, for the school holidays. Just type it in Google, and then you'll see, the kids are off school from February the 1st till the 28th, whatever, 14th. I'm not going to travel then, because you can be guaranteed that the little algorithms online know that that's when there's lots of interest. So and booking connecting flights is sometimes a good idea. So say, for example, you want to fly from, Seattle to New York. And, the flight is like $400 to go direct. You might want to go via Chicago or stop in St. Louis or just somewhere else. And just doing that, maybe a plane change or just a landing and another taking off, that will help you save lots of money. So you can just bring a book or your smart, your Kindle or a book to read and just relax. I mean, time isn't important or doesn't have value when you get older. But if you can save money with it, it's worth it. I think I do that all. I think it's a great idea. Another thing you can do is to think about extending your stay with a stopover. Basically taking advantage of free money, things where people and airlines are happy where they have the ability for you to stretch your trip. So say, for example, that you were going from, you're going home to Chicago and you were stopping in New York. Sometimes if you're going from Seattle to New York, you can get off the plane in New York, take a couple of days there, and then get back on a connecting flight to Chicago. And, you just have to look at your schedules, but it's really something most airlines allow. I know, for example, in Singapore, they have a special package where if you are going, say, from Bali to Singapore and then back to Zurich, you can stay in Singapore for a couple of nights. They have free city tours. They have, offers. I'm sure they have good hotel offers too, to keep you there in Singapore for a few days. And it's just taking those kind of extending those flights with a stopover can be really, really useful. Another thing I didn't mention is rail, because I love trains. And in the States, you can get an Amtrak pass. I think you can go across the country for less than $400. So that's something to think about if you're not a big flyer and if you love trains or you want to get somewhere across the country. And also in Europe, there's Interrail. And I have taken Interrail, I have an Interrail pass, and it was amazing. I just loved it. You have to kind of book reserve on the trains, but you pretty much can jump on and off of trains all over Europe. And they have first class if you want to travel a bit more, in comfort. But there's lots of inexpensive ways to get around. Now, another thing with hotels. Now, I use Booking.com now and again because, for one reason, Booking.com is great. It allows you to cancel almost right up to the day you're traveling. And that, not that you should do that as a matter of course, but it's really good to lock in a place that you know is going to be popular. And then if you have to change your plans, not have a penalty. So that's one idea, and Priceline as well does that. And then there's lastminute.com and lots of other hotel discount sites. But for me, the biggest recommendation that I would make is Airbnb. Now, I know some people don't like Airbnb, and I respect that. Living in, staying overnight or for a few days in someone's home as a guest, a stranger, yeah, it's not for everyone. But I have actually really had some great luck with Airbnb. I have made friends that I still to this day stay in touch with. I have a girl in Paris. I stayed in her flat in Paris. It was so funny. She was a really sweet young woman, but she had a lovely room. It was beautiful and a little flat, and I stayed with her. And she came in one day and said, "Do you mind if I talk to you?" And I said, "Oh, sure, what's up?" And she goes, "Well, I'm having trouble with my dad, blah, blah, blah." And she tell me his story. And I became like her little mentor. And when I got home, I had her phone number and email. So I kept in touch. We still occasionally write to each other. And then I had a woman in Oslo that I met who was a filmmaker. And I think I was in Oslo to see Oslo, but I think I spent more time sitting at her kitchen table talking about movies and what she'd done with her films. Really interesting times. But Airbnb, super cheap. You could also get with Airbnb, rent a whole apartment. So they have an option on the site where you can choose to share a house, like have a room of your own, but you can also have the whole apartment. And in some places in the world, that's actually not that expensive. It's cheaper than a hotel, and you get a little kitchen and usually a nice arrangement. I have a little place in Edinburgh that I go when I visit my son and my grandson there, and it's right down on the beach. And honestly, the price for one night is less than, well, it's more than less than half price of a nice hotel. And I have a kitchen. It's spare room. It's really pretty, right by the beach. Beautiful. Airbnb. It's just an idea, but it's one of those things that if you are really on a budget, it's worth checking out. And another one, by the way, in the UK that's just started is called the Freebird Club. I have not tried this group, but they are in the UK, but they're all over the world, and they have places all over the world that are rented out by individuals who specifically say they're aiming at an older market. So if you don't want to stay with young people, a lot of youngsters in Airbnb, you want something with just a person your age in your 50s or older. The Freebird Club in the UK has a really nice site, and again, it's reputation based. It's got lots of controls and safety checks, and you can stay with someone who's our same age. So that's another idea. Anyway, I hope this has given you some inspiration and ideas about travel on a budget. It's possible. You don't have to stay home if you can just save those, $10 a week. You can make, get a nice, not $10, maybe $100 a month. That would be a good, $1,200. That would get you far if you could just do that. But anyway, I know budget's an issue for lots of people, so I'm not making light of the situation. But if you love to travel, we do find a way. Okay, everyone. So I hope this has been a good conversation. I would love your thoughts. If you do have any travel tips, any budget travel tips, please leave them in the comment section and we'll all join in. I would love to know more because we're always writing articles on this topic, and it's great to share up-to-date information. There's all kinds of new sites popping up everywhere. So anyway, hope your plans today involve some travel somewhere, or at least maybe have a check on site online and see what's happening in the world. And I'd like you to answer the question. What are your favorite places that you go to find senior travel discounts? What are your favorite places that you go to find budget travel discounts? Look forward to your comments and to joining the conversation. Have a super day today. Get out there, do something fun, and I'll see you all back here again really soon. Take good care, everybody. Bye-bye for now.